in time I was a criminal. I had been no due process, no questioning, and I'm feeling at this moment in time that my life is over.
A former Arizona Cardinals player speaking out after he was held at gunpoint as he was picking up his daughter at the airport. The actions called a case of mistaken identity by Mesa PD. Good evening and thanks for joining us for 12 News at 6. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiva Devine. All new at 6, our Sean Rice sat down with Wesley Lisi and obtained body camera footage from police. And Sean, he tells you that this incident has really shaken him up and his daughter.
Yeah, Mark and Creepy. Not only has this shaken up Wesley Lisi, but really his daughter, because his daughter saw this all happen. She was a part of this as well. But it's had a major impact on his 26-year-old daughter. As I mentioned, the pair were ordered to the ground with police rifles pointed directly at them. This was all back on April 10th. Mesa police say they thought they were tracking a shooting suspect driving around in circles at Sky Harbor Airport that evening. Come to find out, the man behind the wheel was only there to pick up his daughter from the airport.
Get on the ground, both of you. On the ground. Lay on the ground.
Well, it could have went worse. The only thing that could have been worse, other than we getting detained like this, is for the absolute worst, that we would have both have lost our lives.
A law-abiding citizen staring down the barrel of police rifles. It's not a position Wesley Lisi thought he would be in as he ventured to pick up his daughter from Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix.
They had to some point knew that she had nothing to do with this.
That night, Mesa police say officers responded to a shooting in North Mesa at an apartment complex along Country Club Drive. It was just before 7 p.m. Witnesses reported the shooter had driven away in a white four-door Mercedes with temporary tags. Images from the Mesa police helicopter showed that car they were tracking from side streets in Mesa, west on the Loop 202 towards downtown Phoenix. Due to flight restrictions near Sky Harbor Airport, that helicopter stopped following the car, but Mesa police ground units continued to pursue. 4 minutes later, officers spotted a nearly identical-looking white Mercedes entering the airport from the East Valley.
We're corresponding over the cell phones, trying to coordinate what gate we were going to be picked up from and how she was going to do that.
Around the same time, Wesley began driving around the airport in circles, waiting for his daughter to deplane and head to the arrivals area of Terminal 3. As Wesley greets his daughter at door 6, several police officers from Mesa Police, Phoenix Police, and Arizona DPS approach Wesley and his daughter. They order them to the ground face first with their rifles drawn.
My daughter now, I look to her, she's frantically crying, and I'm trying to calm her down. Jade, it's going to be fine. You know, from a dad's perspective, calming your kid down in the worst case scenario.
While hearing his daughter's screams, officers approach Wesley, place his hands behind his back, cuff him, and place him in a wheelchair near the airport entrance. One officer shines a light inside Wesley's white Mercedes, and a conversation between he and a Mesa police sergeant ensues.
Where were you coming from?
I'm coming from Scottsdale. I just picked my daughter. She just came from out of town. I'm just here to pick her up.
For 3 minutes and 23 seconds, Wesley remains handcuffed in a wheelchair as Mesa police officers realize they've been tracking the wrong car through the airport. As they remove his handcuffs, one of the officers apologizes to Wesley, but he tells me he doesn't understand how one of the dozens of officers on scene didn't ask themselves this question: do we have the wrong guy?
I mean, when does training and common sense take you to another thought about what's going on here? And they were just mindless. Just put your life in jeopardy, endanger your kid's life, and take your freedom and your rights away from you. Is that easy?
Right.
Could happen to anybody.
Right. Now, you may be asking yourself, did Mesa police make an arrest in that shooting case? They did. This is a picture they took of the vehicle they seized. It is a similar make, different model, white Mercedes, as I mentioned in the story there, but it does have temporary tags. That is the actual suspect vehicle they were looking for. Now, today, Mesa police did not want to go on camera. They didn't want to discuss this case. They did.
Good morning. Welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. You know, I really appreciate it. We're going to start it out in Miami, looking at this real bad apple. Bet you can't guess what he did. He's got that look. He's a Miami police officer who was arrested after striking his wife over 30 times in Sunrise. Okay. Somebody needs to learn how to stop talking back. Am I right? No, just kidding. She's probably just an awful cook. That's a joke too, you guys. Just trying to have a little fun here. This guy's name is Christian Vladimir Sanchez, and he's age 29. Okay, Christian Vladimir Sanchez. He doesn't know whether he's coming or going. He was charged with domestic battery and robbery without a firearm. Okay. Miami police officer was arrested in Broward County on Sunday after being accused of beating his wife, deputies said. Okay, that's not a laughing matter. Christian Vladimir Sanchez, you goofball. Age 29, he was charged with domestic battery and robbery without a firearm. Anyways, during his court appearance on Wednesday, a judge set Sanchez's bond at $50,000. Okay, according to the Broward Sheriff's Office, deputies arrived at a home in Sunrise where they met Sanchez's wife, who appeared to have a bloody lip and blood smeared on her teeth. Okay, guys. An arrest report said Sanchez's wife told deputies that the two and their daughter returned to the home after attending an Easter event. She told deputies that her husband was heavily intoxicated. Oh, that's what we all do at an Easter event, right? That's a bad apple. Okay, anyways. After he drank a bottle of rum at the event and then went to take a shower, the report says. Okay, the report said Sanchez's wife asked him to leave the shower because he was taking too long and she wanted to bathe her daughter. As Sanchez started to lose his balance, a shower rod fell and he left the bathroom. He took the rod and left it in the living room, the report said. That is just odd. Okay, you can just imagine this drunk, idiot, bad apple bumbling around his house being a belligerent knucklehead. Allegedly, of course. It's just a visualization there. Anyways, while his wife was bathing their daughter, the report said, Sanchez approached her and began to make sexual advances toward her, which she declined. Sanchez then left the restroom, but later entered his daughter's room where his wife was drying their child and told his wife to get her belongings and leave the house. His wife agreed to leave and told Sanchez that she would in the morning, but he grabbed her ponytail, pulled it back, which caused her to accidentally hit their daughter in the head, the report says. After the daughter was hit, the report said she started crying, and Sanchez said he was sorry about that her mother was an expletive. Jeez, okay. In an attempt to de-escalate the situation, Sanchez's wife took their daughter to the master bedroom and started to dress her as he came inside and demanded that she leave, the report said. What is going on here? While in the room, the report said Sanchez asked for his wife's phone, but she refused and kept it close to her chest. She then began to lie on her stomach on the bed. As she lay on the bed, Sanchez got on top of her and struck her around 30 times with a closed fist and said he'd keep hitting her if she didn't give him the cell phone. That's what the report says. His wife then screamed for a second victim who was in the home to call police. When the second victim entered the room, she saw the incident, the report said. Sanchez's wife, during the encounter, the report said, gave her cell phone to him, and he grabbed her hair and hit her 10 more times. He then pulled her into the living room, where she grabbed the shower rod that he had left and threw it at him. Not knowing if she hit him, she was able to free herself and run out of the home and tried to get her neighbor's attention, the report said. She then saw her husband fleeing the scene in a green Jeep. Oh, of course, he drives a typical cop girl's Jeep. Ew. Okay, following the incident, deputies spoke with the second victim who recorded the alleged assault in the bedroom, the report said. The victim also told deputies that she grabbed their daughter and took her to the room. Okay. When Sanchez's wife ran out of the house after throwing the shower rod at him, the second victim told deputies that she showed him that she was on the phone with the police the whole time. Okay, Sanchez, the report said, walked up to the victim and told her, hang it up, hang it up, hang it up. Dang, guys. Fearing that she would also be attacked by him, she dropped the phone while she was still on the line with 911, and Sanchez picked it up and fled the scene, the report said. Wonder if he kept the conversation going. Okay, after viewing the video recorded by the second victim, deputies were able to corroborate the incident with Sanchez, and he was taken into custody and charged. City of Miami Police released the following statement. At this time, I can confirm that Christian Vladimir Sanchez is an officer with the City of Miami Police Department, and he's been relieved of duty with pay pending the internal affairs investigation. Okay, that's all we got on that goofball. Let's move on with the show.
A Middleburg man claiming deputies with the Clay County Sheriff's Department stole thousands of dollars from him during an arrest, and now he's getting ready to sue if they don't pay up. Good evening, I'm Jeannie Blaylock.
And I'm Anthony Austin. Our Riley Phillips is joining us live tonight from Orange Park. And Riley, this is where the man was originally arrested.
Yes, Willie Davis Jr. was arrested right along Wells Road here in Orange Park. A crash report states Clay County deputies saw Davis hit a car in this parking lot and then drive away. They also believed he was driving impaired, so they arrested him. That case has since been dismissed, but Davis says he's missing more than $4,000 in cash. It was in this parking lot along Wells Road near Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park where two Clay County Sheriff's deputies claimed they saw Willie Davis Jr. hit a black Mercedes and drive away. A crash report dated September 15, 2024 details how the deputies pulled Davis over, checked his truck, and found black paint. The report also states Davis appeared to be under the influence. He was taken into custody but refused a breathalyzer test, according to the report. This case, however, was dismissed over a month later. Davis's attorney, Dan Faherty, says that's because this crash never happened.
An administrative hearing officer who found that there was no evidence of a crash and no crash report and no victim.
Faherty offers a different story from that night. He says his client was at the parking lot, but he was buying food from a food truck. He claims deputies saw Davis pull out a large amount of cash to pay for the food. Faherty says Davis had a total of $6,900 that night, money reportedly being used to buy and sell parts for a car he was fixing up. The crash report does mention the money, stating deputies counted $4,000, but Faherty says only $2,900 made it into Davis's account at the jail.
We're asserting that at least one of the Clay County Sheriff's deputies involved in this stop and arrest took Mr. Davis's money while at the scene.
Faherty has now sent a notice to the Clay County Sheriff's Office asking for $200,000 in damages for illegally arresting Davis and violating his Fourth Amendment rights. A civil theft notice was also sent to the two deputies involved in this case, asking for $12,000.
There was no basis, no reasonable probable cause to arrest him and seize his body, seize his truck, and seize his cash that night.
A Toledo police officer has been charged with 2 counts of cruelty to animals. According to Toledo Police, Toledo Humane Society investigators charged Officer Jalen May with the 2 crimes, both second-degree misdemeanors. TPD says its Internal Affairs Bureau is conducting an internal investigation aside from the criminal investigation. Police officials say Officer May has been with the department for 4 years, adding that he was regularly assigned to field operations, but will now be assigned to restricted duty, depending on the outcome of these investigations.
Oh no! Oh yeah! We got ourselves a jailer, folks. Check her out. Let me guess, she's a smuggler. Allegedly. It says here, former Edinburgh juvenile correctional officer arrested. Okay, let's take bets. Maybe we need to do our own bingo card, you guys. We should do that. It says here, a former Texas Juvenile Justice Department correctional officer was arrested Tuesday after an investigation revealed she came into actual contact with a 16-year-old male juvenile. Okay. I guess she is a smuggler. She's smuggling fun bags. Okay, that was... You guys, I gotta have fun. I have to do this every day. Don't be mad at me. All right. Juliana Marez, age 40, of Alamo, has been charged with violation of civil rights of a person in custody, improper sexual activity, and indecency with a child by actual contact. Oh, Juliana. You crazy girl. According to the release, the incident happened in February when Marez was working as an officer at the Evans State Juvenile Correctional Facility in Edinburgh. Marez is alleged to have had sexual contact by touching the genitals of the victim. I don't want to have to read this crap. She was booked into the Hidalgo County Adult Detention Center, and as of Tuesday afternoon, she had not received a bond. Aw, Juliana. She's probably kind of comfortable Anyways, let's move on with the show.
These women tell me what they experienced was total powerlessness behind federal prison walls. The assault went from the very top with the warden to the guards, even the prison chaplain. And when they would report the abuse, there was such retaliation, solitary confinement for months, or over incarceration. What is going through your mind when you are hearing these women's stories?
What's going through my mind is just really how pervasive it is, right? You know, they talked before about the fact that it's actually continuing, even though Dublin has been shut down, and rightly so. These women are very courageous in that you think about sort of the chain of command, right, that exists at a prison. And as you mentioned, it is very much pervasive, right, from the top all the way down. And the fact that they came forward is obviously extremely commendable. But at the same time, they must have probably been shocked that this was occurring really all the way at the top. I think that was probably the most surprising to them. And now they're probably feeling re-victimized in that a mistrial has been declared.
Now let's talk about that. Daryl Dirty Dick Smith maintaining his innocence. The defense telling jurors that there's a lack of any physical or DNA evidence. They're really hammering this point, even in their opening statement. Let's take a listen to what one former inmate says Smith said to her.
And he leaned back on the chair and put his feet up and said, "You're a convicted felon. I'm a federal officer. Who do you think they're going to believe? You don't have a word that I can't use on air. But in other words, so the audience can understand me, it would mean ejaculate. So people can understand what I'm talking about is you don't have my physical evidence in your hands or on your clothing. So you can't, there's no way I'm going to get prosecuted."
Now, what do you make of the fact that Smith told this alleged victim, you don't have my insert word for DNA evidence here? Who will believe you? I mean, is this going to be an issue again in September when we see this retrial?
Unfortunately, I do think this is going to be an issue, not because I don't believe these women. I do believe these women, but I think the problem is there are stigmas right across society. And I do think this is why this may have ended in a mistrial, in that part of the jury, not all of them, but some of them may have not believed their testimony simply because they are convicted felons. And the reality is we cannot stigmatize these individuals for the rest of their lives. And they are entitled to be safe when they're in prison. And listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I tend to deal almost solely in facts. But the fact that there isn't a shred of evidence when you have the warden who's been convicted, the chaplain, all of those individuals, tells me that that's problematic in and of itself. But I do think an investigation needs to be done in how evidence was concealed and was covered up. I've been in prisons before. There are plenty of CCTVs, and I want to know what happened to all of that.
Yeah, it's such a good point you bring up. These women tell me that many of the cameras simply were not functioning in the prison, unfortunately. And as you mentioned, this whole case hinges on testimony. The defense really making a point here. They're saying, hey, these are convicted felons. Are convicted felons not to be believed on the stand because of their history?
Listen, it's hard, right? As a former law enforcement official, it wasn't my first place that I would want my evidence to come from because people are biased. Human beings have these biases and we have to recognize that. But when you have this sheer volume of individuals coupled with an over $100 million that settlement, and the prison itself being closed, I think we have to look at the totality of all of this. And these women, in my opinion, are far more than just their convictions. Everyone is. And they are entitled to see these perpetrators behind bars. But this is probably what is the most problematic in terms of a conviction here.
Tracy, very quickly, we're seeing a lot of viewer comments and outrage pouring in, several suggesting only female guards should be allowed in these facilities. It stood out to me that the survivors I spoke with said the abuse also came from the female guards. Wendy Ponzo, who we see in the piece alleging abuse at the hands of the prison chaplain, suggests every correctional officer should be required to wear a body camera at all times. Your thoughts on this?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And you saw me sort of shaking my head initially when that viewer had suggested it should be all females. Females also perpetrate some of this, just as you mentioned before. And so I think 24 continuous hours of body cam footage that they cannot control on their own is exactly what's probably needed.
Everybody really wanna feel no pain. their love and feel the love they need. Everybody wanna just feel alright tonight. Everybody wanna just feel alive inside. Everybody wanna just feel alright, if it's just for one night. Say you wanna feel alright, like I do. And people, if you share your love, you'll find it will come back to you every time. Then the world all around us will be fine.
You guys, there's so many more bad apples, but we're going to call it a show. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early. Thank you so much for being here.
La na 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 na.